Here's the deal. We have to think of unpacking standards like an iceberg. What we see above the water, the lessons, the assessments, the resources, are really only a small part of that bigger picture. What's happening below the surface is what makes all of that possible, right? And so, as leaders, we have to make sure that the work that's below the surface is happening. We can't rely on a resource to ensure that it's done all of this work in the past. If we don't take that time to do the deep work beneath the water, the things that are above the water that are visible above the water aren't going to be as strong or as effective. So let me break it down for you. Under the water, you're going to notice the foundational work that comes from when we unpack and pack our standards. And this is the stuff that we have to do first. We have to unpack the standards, breaking them down into manageable pieces. From there, we define the learning targets and clarify exactly what students need to master. Then you define your terms and your phrases, enduring a deep understanding of the academic language. It is not uncommon for us to sit down with a PLC and ask them what a term means and hear multiple different answers. And that's within a single PLC. When you bring in multiple PLCs, so think vertically, when we're all using a different understanding of what a word or a phrase means, that impacts our outcomes, right? So after we define those terms and phrases and ensuring that we have that deep understanding of that academic language, we need to determine explicit learning, identify what students need to know and what they need to do. What is the evidence that we should see them produce that they're actually doing? This is something that a lot of people don't think about, but you need to determine those implicit learnings, like what students need to understand. That's at that higher level. So, a quick example is if you are merging onto traffic. So, your standard says that you're going to be able to merge onto traffic at 55 miles per hour or faster, right? You need to understand some things that are not explicitly stated in that standard. That is a real life standard in driver's ed, okay? But kids must understand when they're learning how to merge onto a lane into traffic, going at 55 miles per hour, that they need to speed up to the speed of the traffic that they're merging on. It's dangerous to go in slow or to stop and wait for there to be an opening, right? They're going to be honking. Somebody could be hit. Lots of terrible things could happen. You need to understand how to use your mirrors and understand that how things appear in the mirror aren't exactly what's actually happening around them. So there are a lot of things that implicitly you have to understand at a higher level in order to see the evidence of what a student would be doing. And this is something that we really struggle with is understanding the deeper concepts that students need to grasp when we're teaching them and teaching them at that level. And that's what helps increase the rigor, helps make it relevant and for them. And it's a way for you to see how multiple standards fit together as well. And from that under again, that water, using this iceberg analogy here, under the water, you have to establish a hierarchy of skills. There is a clear progression of learning from foundation to advanced within a standard. That last step is critical. Not only are not all skills are created equal, some require prerequisites that build toward deeper understanding. And if we don't identify the progression of those skills within a standard, we may jump too quickly to complex tasks before students are ready. And that's that's a lot of the work that we did in the comprehensive standards, guys, is ensuring that teachers that information, that knowledge, and see it in writing. Like this is how this standard, this skill progresses. Because within a single standard, you can have multiple skills. So there should be lots of different things that are happening in order for kids to be able to master that standard. Now, once this below the surface work is complete, we can move to the visible part of the iceberg, see, like above here, where teaching and learning come to life. This is the stuff that we love in education, right? Well, one of the things are that we will ensure, in order to ensure our alignment, making sure our instruction matches our state expectations, we will use all of this information down here to develop scoring guides that are towards the mastery expectations of the standards. Then develop assessments in ensuring that students are evaluated on the right skills. And using, again, all of this information, we can use this to help us choose resources, to audit resources, to develop resources. I recently shared with a group of teachers how, well, leaders in curriculum, how I had done a resource audit alongside state standards, including their priority, if you could call them priority, essential, or power standards. Every state uses, or region uses, a different term, but how we looked at those and how many times those standards are taught within a resource that's aligned to their standards, right? And you understand that how resources are aligned to your state standards are through a keyword search. So if a word appears, it's aligned to that standard. That's what standard alignment looks like. So we as leaders have to take that time to go through and audit our resources. So some of them we can keep, and some we're going to need to fill in the gaps. It doesn't mean don't purchase them, but you need to have a clear plan. So we use all this information again, selecting materials that truly support the standards and help our teachers and students have what they need to be successful. After we have all of that, then we have the opportunity to start having even more fun. And that's where we get to plan the learning experiences, design effective, engaging lesson plans. All of these things, curriculum, instruction, assessment, rely heavily on the work that's beneath the surface. Without unpacking standards, we're risking misalignment, unclear instruction, and ineffective assessments. But when we take the time to unpack, sequence, and organize our standards, we create a strong foundation for student learning and for success for all of us. And, for those of you that are here with me today, what's great news about that is you don't have to do that work alone, because the comprehensive standards guides already have done all of the foundational work that's below the surface. And now you're going to be able to take that, all of that, for every single English language arts and every single math standard, K-12, all vertically aligned, all terms defined, and focus on all of these things that impact student learning. So instead of trying to spend all those hours and hours and hours trying to figure out all of this that's below the surface, you have that knowledge, you have that information, so that you can now move into all of these things that are really going to help you make a difference with your kids. Now we're going to understand why it's so important and walk through how we actually did this work.